Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. A video that is probably I'd say as a topic was one of the most popular videos on my channel, but we are talking about car finance again. Now, apologies that it's taken so long for me to do a video on this. It's just there's been a lot going on right now. On the video itself, by the way, if you haven't watched it, click up there and go and watch it. It was, let's talk about car finance, and of course, let's talk about the numbers. Out of the back of that was a ton of questions. And at the same time, I also posted something on the community section on YouTube, and I said, listen guys, ask them whatever you want me to answer, basically, fire the questions in there. Now, roughly in this whole section, we're going to cover a few topics. The main topic is about how to get out of a car finance agreement. What's the real difference between a hire purchase, a PCP, a lease? When is it the best option to go for those things? And then, of course, other topics around car finance, like how do you protect yourself against depreciation? And the big one that I'm going to talk about, and it's the one that I'm going to talk about right at the beginning, because there were so many comments about this, is if you take out car finance, it means you can't afford the car. Nobody should be taking out car finance. If you can't afford the car, don't buy it. Telling me that I'm taking out car finance means that I can't actually buy the car that I want, that I don't have the money in my bank account, and it doesn't make sense. That's the number one thing that I want to address right now. That is probably, I think, the biggest faux pas or the little taboo that's around car finance, that people are basically financing cars that they can't actually really afford. So we're going to address all of those topics, starting off, of course, with that one. Look, now starting on this first point of financing cars, affordability, etc., I just want to put it out there on the record of me saying this, that always, the best case scenario, of course, is to never have any loans. That can be a mortgage, that can be for a car finance payment, it could be even for your mobile phone, whatever it would be. The best situation to be in always in life is, of course, to have no loans. There's nobody to come chasing after you. You own everything that you have, essentially. That is ideal. However, it doesn't mean it's always the best way to do something, because you can grow in different ways. Now, let's take the example and direct example of me buying a car that's, let's say, the one that's coming soon, like the SVJ. Now, the car's going to be up nearly at 400,000. Now, most people will then be like, oh, he can't afford it because he's financing it. Tell me something. If you were going to buy a £400,000 house for yourself, would you mortgage it or buy it cash? Now, ideally, of course, you'd love to buy it cash, but 90% of people, if not more, are going to be buying that house with a mortgage. Now, why would you do that on a house and not on a car? Okay, a house might go up in value, yes. Potentially you're buying a house that you're going to rent out, so it's got an income to it. Fine, so you think that I'm going to get a loan on it, so that's a good idea. What about a car? Understand that a lot of cars, and I've talked about this in previous videos as well, if they're like special editions, they can actually go up in value. So sometimes they're a bit of an investment. So with like the SVJ that's near £400,000, the chances are that car's going to be worth a little bit more, because of course it's a limited car. I'm not obviously going to be selling it like that, but that's what a lot of people do, kind of finance it, get the money on the car so they don't have to outlay 400,000, and then they sell it on and make a little bit of money. So it made sense for them to take a loan. Now, as I've said, of course, taking a loan is never the first choice. However, if you have a certain amount of money and you're like, listen, I don't want to put £400,000 into a car that's just going to be sitting there driving around. I'd rather have the benefit of having the car so I can enjoy it at the time, manage the monthly payments that will be thousands of pounds a month, so you've got to have the affordability to do that as well. But at the same time, let me put the money that I would be using on that car into, say, a property where that could be earning me some money that might pay off the car, whatever it might be. So finance gives you a way to kind of get access to a lot of things that, yes, truthfully, you maybe would not have had access to before because you might not have had the money sitting in your account. But it doesn't mean you can't use it as a smart tool. The problem is when people do use it to overstretch themselves. And there's a lot of people, I won't mention any names, that are even on YouTube right now who are taking out a lot of car finance stuff. They're promoting car finance companies or people who are providing car finance in, I believe, not in an ethical way. And the way that you guys are going to be falling down the trap of just sticking to a bunch of monthly payments that is going to perfectly screw you up, and it means you're just going to be in this kind of loss-making thing when it comes to cars. Okay, that's my piece on that. Right, now let's move on to the actual car finance topics. But before we do that, I'm going to let you know about the sponsor of this video. So Skillshare is an online learning community for creators with more than 25,000 classes in design, business, and more. Now you get 2 months premium membership. For the first 500 people that sign up, you can join the classes and the communities just right for you. An annual subscription is less than $10 a month, and there's 7 million creators learning with Skillshare right now. So make sure you hit the link in the description and sign up now. Okay, so before we delve into how to get out of finance agreements and all this other stuff, I'm going to start off right at the top. What is HP? What is PCP? What's a lease plan? How do we buy cars? You guys have 4 options when it comes to buying a car, okay? Or 4 main options. You get your money, put your debit card there, your credit card or whatever it is, you pay cash, That's how you buy a car, right? £10,000 car, I've got £10,000, that's it, I own the car. The next one up, which is the one that came out first essentially, is HP, like a hire purchase agreement. They say, okay, car's 10,000, put £2,000 deposit in, and then you're going to borrow £8,000. This is the rate that we're going to borrow it to you at, essentially like 3%, 4%, whatever it might be, and just pay off the loan over the next 5 years, 6 years, whatever it might be. Now, what happened was something else came after that called a PCP, right? It's a personal contract purchase or something like that. Those, I think, personal contract purchase or plan, people call it different things. And it basically means that instead of you putting your £2,000 deposit in for this car that's 10,000 and then borrowing £8,000 and paying it off, what you do is you put your £2,000 deposit down, and then they'll say, okay, instead of you essentially paying the monthly payments on the £8,000 loan, why don't we take like £3,000 out of that 8,000, put it towards the end and call it a balloon payment, and then what you do is you only actually pay off, say like 5,000. It drops your monthly payment down, making it more affordable. And again, of course, it means that when you come to the end of your term, whether it's 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever, it means that they'll be like, okay, now what do you want to do? Do you want to hand the car back to us, and then that's it, your loan is gone? Or do you want to pay that £3,000 balloon payment and keep the car yourself? Or what most of the time happens is they're like, okay, you know what, your car's not actually worth £3,000, it's probably worth about £2,000. So if you pay the £3,000 to get your car, it's going to be worth a lot less, right? So it doesn't make sense. So what they say to you is come and buy another car, and what we do is we might be able to sort that out for you and get rid of that difference, so to speak. That's essentially what a PCP is. It's why some people say that it's the devil of finance or something bad, but yes, it's made cars a lot more affordable for people, granted. The last option is a lease plan. Now, a lease plan, in my personal opinion, is only beneficial to a company, and I believe that's the reason why they started them. It basically means that you can say, here's a car, I'm just going to pay a small amount of deposit, or sometimes no deposit, pay a certain amount every month, and that's tax deductible on the business. So let's say if you're paying £500 a month, all you do is you stick £500 on the business as a cost, and that's beneficial for you. It's a way you can give your staff some cars. Again, it's a good way for like a tax offset essentially. A lot of the times they include VAT in the payments as well. So what you can do is you can actually claim back the VAT as well. That makes sense for a company who doesn't want to spend a lot of money taking on a car, doesn't want to spend a lot of money looking after a car, and then doesn't want to worry about selling it afterwards. They take a 2-year lease plan, they get whether it's a BMW, they get a Toyota, they can get a Nissan, whatever it is, and they just have it for 2 years, pay X amount a month, at the end they chuck it back. That does save you a lot of the times when it comes to depreciation. So that's going on into the second topic. Okay, so talking about the depreciation side of things, the questions that people ask me, Anish, how do I stop depreciation? How can I buy smart? Is there a smart way of tackling depreciation? Honestly, no. Okay, cars 99% of the time are depreciating assets. Sometimes classic cars, like my beautiful VW Beetle 1969, beautiful red car, that will go up in value, but most of the cars that you guys are going to buy are going to go down in value. That's your Vauxhall Astras, even some BMWs, some Minis, whatever it is, Mercedes, they all will most of the time go down in value. Now there's no smart way to kind of defeat that, but sometimes you can take out certain, let's say, loans when it comes to like a lease on a car or something like that can help you kind of combat that. So sometimes, let's just think about a lease, for example. If you're going to be paying £200 a month for a car, and you pay that over, say, 2 years, you might end up paying X amount, but if you bought the car and did it as a normal purchase of the car, you might actually lose a bit more than that. So some people say, I'd rather pay the £200 a month, at the end of £200, I'll just give the car, at 2 years, I'll just give the car back, and that's it. It's only cost me that £200 a month for 2 years. Whereas if somebody else bought the car, and then it depreciated by, say, like £10,000, £15,000, they would have actually paid more by owning the car. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. But like I said, there's no real smart way to tackle depreciation. You just have to buy smart. And when I mean buy smart, you haggle on the new price of cars. And of course, and even any brands that I'm associated with, I'm still saying it, I'm being honest with you guys. It doesn't matter who it is that I'm doing car reviews for, whatever. When you go and you buy a new car, haggle, always get as much as you can off. And of course, if you want to really, really protect yourself against depreciation, it is going for like the used car option, so a year-old, 2-year-old that's maybe still in warranty. So it's a great time to buy cars that have kind of taken their initial depreciation. However, it means you can't sometimes spec the cars the way you want, and that's really important at the high end. If you want a Lamborghini Aventador or you want Performante, sometimes the cars are just not the way you want it, so you do want to spend that money and get the car new. But yeah, depreciation, just something that comes along with owning cars. Okay, the next question that's coming up, and apologies that I'm moving around the office here, but I'm trying to go along a normal work day as well as doing this video at the same time as well. So I'm just kind of sorting out some of the new one-off stuff, as you can see here. By the time this video is out, it should be available in the link below. This and some very special other pieces that I can't show you that are over there, but they will be available. So you'll see the website here, www.oneoffclo.com, and hopefully some of them will still be available because stuff sells out quite quickly. But check it out. So like I was saying, some of the questions that people are asking now is about how do you kind of like combat getting out of a finance agreement. So let's say you're in a finance agreement right now and you're trying to exit it. There's a question there that somebody wants to know. Anish, I see all these YouTubers who buy cars, I don't know if I'm one of them, but buys cars and then sells them after a year or 12 months. How have they taken out a finance agreement for like 3 years and then got out of it? It's very simple. It's taking out a loan, and all you do is when you want to sell the car, whether that's 6 months, a year, you sell the car and you clear the loan that's on it and you're left with whatever the money that's left. So it's very simple. I feel like people think it's very difficult to exit something. The number one way to exit, of course, is by selling your car, clearing the loan. The problem I think that people are asking is, and I kind of talked about this before as well, is that what happens when you want to go and sell your car and they tell you, yeah, no problem, you can exit your agreement, but actually you owe £5,000, but your car's only worth like 4. You end up actually owing money on the car. That's of course maybe that you've got a car that was too expensive at the first, depreciated too much, or of course the agreement that you took out wasn't the best at the time. And when we talk about that as well, sometimes people are asking me, Anish, what are the kind of rates that I should be looking at on my PCP, on my hire purchase? What should I be looking at? Usually there's obviously this APR, which is obviously relevant to look at, but you should be looking at a flat rate, and I think I said this before, of around about say 3% on a flat rate. You shouldn't be borrowing at something that's too expensive. And when we talk about that as well, the last thing I want to say is people say to me, Anish, why don't you go and get like a bank loan and then go and buy a car? Understand that there's different loans for doing different things. When you get a bank loan, it's not secured on any asset, it's secured on yourself. When you take a car finance loan, it is secured on the car, which means that if there is a problem, they can just take the car back. So in a worst case scenario, of course, when you get a bank loan, you might not necessarily want to do that, even though the rates can be a little bit better, because tomorrow there's not going to be like, oh yeah, we'll just take the car. They'll be like, no, you owe us the money, so you figure out how you're going to get it. So just understand that that's sometimes another way that you can kind of get tricked out by it. Now, I hope that was informative. I hope you enjoyed that. I know there's still going to be a bunch of questions on this topic because it was such a popular video. So please comment down below as many questions as you want on different topics, or just what your personal opinion is on what I've talked about. Affordability. I talked about affordability on cars, and one of the questions that did also kind of come up about that was, Anish, how much money should you spend on a car based on how much money you have in the bank or how much you're worth, so to speak? And I always say that affordability can only be judged by the person, of course, who has the knowledge of their own finances. When it comes to me, I'll just basically say this. If I'm buying a car that's £50,000, £6,000 like my VW, that's £100,000, or that's £300,000 or £400,000, if I cannot make the monthly payment and be covered for at least the full term of the agreement, so if I'm paying £2,000 a month, if I don't have enough money to cover for myself for at least 3 years, I won't even think about taking out the agreement. At the same time, when these cars are so expensive, £300,000, £400,000, I know that of course I can sell it and clear the loan. However, I still want to make sure that I have at least half of the value of the car, at least in my bank account. I most of the time have more, but at least half the value of the car, so that if need be, in any situation, I'm covered. And I do that a lot when it comes to properties and other things as well. If you're cash rich, of course, that's the best place to be in, but it's not always the case that everybody can be in. So like I said, I hope you enjoyed that advice and the topic that I was talking about today. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to talk about, whether it's car finance, anything else. I hope you're enjoying the property videos as well. So comment below, like the video, and remember to subscribe because there's a lot more content coming. I can't tell you what it is yet, but it's going to be exciting. Okay, bye.